I can't pronounce documentary.
I pronounced it the way it was spelled.
Documentary.
I add extra R's.
Right.
Documentary.
Yeah,
I can't say it. You know I can't say documentary.
Documentary?
Documentary. There you go.
Documentary.
I can't say it.
Documentary.
I always call it a doc because I can't say the word.
Do it.
I don't understand why. How could you not say documentary?
I don't know.
Documentary.
Say it.
Say it.
Documentary. I always add an R.
No, documentary.
Documentary.
There we go.
Okay.
Yay.
I'll never say it right again.
Yeah, now say it again.
Documentary. God! Hard cut, Dylan. Hard cut, Dylan. Hard cut.
Dylan, do a hard cut.
Do a hard cut.
Do a hard cut. Also, to answer your question, I didn't feel like getting 64 gigabytes of RAM because I don't really need it. I just wanted 32. It was a comment that Dylan made on Twitter. Yeah, so that's the answer to your comment, Dylan.
He's going to put that in the video now. I know it.
Look, man, all I'm saying is you can't name your computer build the God Butcher if you only have 32 gigabytes of RAM in it. It's kind of more like the Demigod Butcher.
Welcome back to Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Due to the holidays, we took a little bit of a mid-season break, but if you remember correctly, Benny and Natalie were going through a hard time. They were arguing about who peed on the floor. Benny thought it was Natalie. Natalie thought it was Benny, but as it turns out, if you were watching that episode, Rob came to their apartment and peed on the floor. Let's see how this storyline's going to resolve as we discuss the top 10 games that only make sense if you bought the DLC by whatculture.com.
Dude, I have no idea what happened. I don't know what just happened.
I think it was a mix of what Gary just told us.
Yeah.
And a mix of him just yeah, that's it.
I confused Rob.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm concerned about Benny.
Me too. Every day.
Some people call that schizophrenia. I don't know. Benny, we call it being Benny.
If you're joining us for the first time, this is Listcussion right here at Eligible Monster. Why make our own list when everyone else made funnier and better lists? We'd rather discuss it.
I like how you don't even hide it anymore.
No. Never did.
We can't.
Other people made better lists, so we just steal them.
I mean, but we have to agree with it, though, to some extent.
We get to discuss it. What's the point of a list if we don't discuss it?
Exactly.
So we can discuss it and add our own things to it. These are normally drummed up by Natalie, so if you want to talk to her about her list decisions or point her to your favorite list that you would like us to discuss, find her on Twitter at Zodical Candy or on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Or any other day on Twitch.
Or Twitch, yes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Since we're like shamelessly promoting right now, let's just keep adding to it.
You guys should also go to our hot dog stand, which is currently being hosted at the end of the street. When Gary gets done filming us, he goes to run the hot dog stand. We have really great sauerkraut made by Houston Hines, our chef.
It's award-winning. Larry from
what
down
is
the road.
wrong with me today?
Larry from down the road was like, I would give
wired.
this an award, so it's award-winning. Yeah.
I give him like 10 minutes, and then the food's gonna start selling, and it's gonna be like.
We just had a lot of wings, guys.
We did. We had Buffalo Wild Wings. The itis is very strong at this table right now. Like it is. The struggle is real, man.
So number 10.
Yes.
Deus Ex: Human Revolution, a time jump explained. Okay. Let me look at the make sure. Okay, everything looked good. I just want to make sure that everything. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, while Deus Ex: Human Revolution shipped with a pretty tight and coherent single-player story, the main game featured a completely jarring time jump that immediately gets overlooked. As late in the game where hero Adam Jensen disappears for 3 days in between chapters without an explanation. The first expansion fills in these missing hours, however, explaining that Jensen actually got captured by his enemies and stripped of his augmentations, having to fight his way out of their lair and escape to continue his mission. Although it's not that substantial from a gameplay perspective, it should really be present in the base release to begin with, something which the developers clearly recognized as they integrated the DLC into its intended spot in the narrative in the director's cut re-release. Hell, the DLC is literally titled The Missing Link, just in case you had any reservations of how vital it was to the overall story. That one I agree with, because I beat the main game and I did notice that time jump, and I played The Missing Link and was like, holy crap. It felt like, and I'm going to reference this today, because you haven't played it yet, but she has, Final Fantasy XV's DLC plan. Now, well, because in Final Fantasy 15...
Are you talking about which DLC?
All of them.
All of them.
So in Final Fantasy 15,
yes,
as you're going through the main story,
Yeah.
like let's say the four buddies are going to hang out, and like one character, Gladio, will be like, all right, guys, I got something to do. I'll see you in a little bit. And he'll disappear for like a small section of the game. He comes back and he'll have like a scar over his eye and like a burn mark, and he'll be like, I'll talk about it later.
I don't want to talk about it right now, but...
And the DLC is what happened to Gladio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gladio.
That's just one of the characters.
So
Ignis, Gladio, Prompto.
It got everybody mad because clearly... clearly they had the whole thing together, and you were going to play as these characters as they were disappearing. But Square Enix's idea was, well, since we can just cheese it and just take those segments out and then make people pay for it later, why not do that instead?
It amazes me the kind of things gamers get upset about.
I was upset about it. I was upset about
I'm
it.
gonna call you. I'm calling you out right here.
upset,
Don't
man.
I'm
calling
calling
you out because an hour ago we were playing Destiny 2: Curse of Osiris, and Rob was ranting and raving that he felt that was day one content and it shouldn't be added in later.
This
and
is
it
what
was
I
cut from the
said.
release.
No, don't worry about me. All right? I'm not part of this conversation.
This is what I
All
said,
right?
right away.
No, I'm
during
trying-
the
I'm
review.
That's what we're referencing. Stuff that was cut from the game.
Yes.
You were just complaining.
Yeah, you were.
Well, that was then, though.
An hour ago, your opinions have changed.
This is now. All right. Let's stop living in the past. You know what I mean? Let's live in the here and now.
Okay.
All right. And it kind of amazes me the kind of things that gamers get upset about.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying.
You were just ranting and raving in the
You
office.
I told you, man. That was a long time ago.
Number 9.
He's over
The
it now.
Evil Within, a double agent betrayal. Evil Within is purposely an obtuse game, but sometimes it went too far trying to create a surreal and plot that virtually made no sense. Why they gotta be? You're what culture? You don't gotta be smart and use big words.
Dude,
Yeah, use small
I
words.
struggled so hard that I know that in the next discussion that I have to cover with Rob, I put simple words everywhere just so I could go through it. No shame.
Fortunately,
no
the
shame.
game's first 2 DLC expansions, The Assignment and The Consequence, helped fill in the blanks, focusing on huge character revelations that completely changed the dynamics of the main game's plot. So basically, you had one that turned out your police partner and companion, Julie, wasn't actually a friend at all. She was working for the evil company. Felt like that would be something you'd want to have in the actual main game, right?
Yeah.
And in the other one, where was it found out that your wife is also working for the company. That makes the sequel make so much more sense.
Oh shit! He just pieced a.
Wow.
That was a
together?
light bulb moment.
Yeah.
I could not bring
Dylan
myself to
should-
play Evil Within. It's too scary for me.
You were
You
with
watched
us.
this, yeah. You
Yeah,
said it wasn't
I watched you play
And
Evil
you
Within
seemed
2.
fine. You seemed fine though.
Yeah, that's watching people play. No, let me tell you something. There's a difference between, Rob Jefferson does not just play games mindlessly. Rob
Right.
Jefferson becomes absorbed in the games he plays. And the problem is when Rob Jefferson becomes absorbed in a scary game, Rob gets scared.
Does Rob
really
Jefferson always talk in the third person?
Not really. But there was this guy that I used to know.
No, yeah.
No, but anyway, and for the record, if you're going to keep with the whole, it amazes me what people get upset about, the whole list is that stuff. So,
Yes, indeed.
but no, that actually makes Evil Within 2 because we were playing Evil Within 2, and at the beginning of the game, your wife shows up, and you find out she's behind. I'm not going to go too much because I don't want to spoil it heavily, but your wife's involved again, and you find out that she's actually working for the company.
Yep.
And I was like, where was
What
this?
happened? Yeah, the DLC.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, God damn.
It angered a lot of people for sure. Yeah.
Number 8, Assassin's Creed Revelations. A year-old betrayal finally explained. Over the first couple of Assassin's Creed games, Lucy Stillman is framed to be one of the most straight-up good guys in the series, helping Desmond get into the past and figure out the Templar plot. Okay. Yeah. So it's a shock when you're, spoilers for like a 15-year-old game now, but it's a shock when you're actually forced to kill her at the end of Revelations.
Well, Juno, I guess Juno makes you do it.
They take you over and they kill her, but you don't fully understand why, okay? It's suggested that she was hiding something from you in the series, and that's why Juno killed her off. But in the DLC, which I didn't play, so this is going to be interesting, the DLC for the next game was released. The players finally got the answers. Sadly, the developers went the predictable route and said that Lucy wasn't on your side at all. At some point, she actually defected to work with the Templars with the plan of screwing you over once her mission was complete. So that really wasn't that interesting at all.
Yeah, I remember reading about that, and I thought maybe it was something that I missed in the game. But I was like, man, that's boring.
Yeah. That's not it. Like when you do it, you're like, oh, she must have worked with the Templars. And then so a year later, they're like, she was.
That sounds like Ubisoft, just predictable and the same old thing.
Rob loves...
You
know what, guys?
he
While Rob
loves-
loves to bash
my gosh.
Ubisoft, he does love EA. He's an advocate for Battlefront 2's microtransactions. Let us know what you think of Rob's views down below.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of the microtransactions, mostly because you don't have to buy them. So,
You don't have to buy them. It's true.
Yeah.
It's
I
true.
mean, like, the crappy players are like, but it's pay to win. The good players are like, no, it's not. I'm still winning. I'm buying. So it's like,
Oh my god.
Wow!
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
I feel like Rob's just out to make enemies today.
I've always viewed it that way. Like back in the Call of Duty days, people are just like, man, that gun's so overpowered. It's like, not if you're good. Like, if you're good, then you just know how to get around it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Number 7, Prince of Persia, retconning an unheroic ending. In 2008, Prince of Persia's reboot wasn't an amazing game, but it sure had the most ballsy and memorable endings the medium has ever seen. After spending the entirety of the title attempting to stop the encroaching darkness from completely devouring the earth, the prince's companion, Alika, I'll never be able to pronounce that properly, is killed just before you can see the plan through.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Alika?
Elika, if you're trying to figure it out.
Alika. Yeah.
Alika?
Yeah. I told you that.
Gary's confirming it. He's got 9 kids, one of which is named Alika.
The one's Tamika.
He also never sleeps.
Just random Gary facts.
Gary facts.
Yeah.
We're going to build
Gary
up a
facts.
history around hashtag. Guys, in the comments down below, do me a favor. Start every sentence with hashtag Gary facts, and we're going to create the persona
I guarantee
that is
you
Gary,
someone,
our camera guy.
Someone in the comments is probably just like sitting with a notepad, just, all right, Gary facts right here from this, video last week. This is what I know from him now. It's just, just going to make some
No,
random
by the time
facts
it's all
about
said
him.
and done, they're going to say, like, Gary's like a 3-headed unicorn,
No,
who, like,
we
used
already
to be-
showed him, though. We showed him on camera. So.
Oh, yeah, we did. That,
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't matter. They're still going to just make up something for Gary.
Anyway, with the Prince of Persia situation and the DLC called The Epilogue, the prince's flawed human response to Alika's sacrifice in favor of doing something more heroic and logical. He didn't revive her because he couldn't He didn't revive her because he couldn't live without her. It's because she was the only one who could actually kill the title's big bad. And in a divisive change, it's admittedly made out of it's made out of nowhere, just in a way that no one would have liked. Everyone thought that I remember this actually.
You want some water?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm really confused about where we stand on that DLC versus the game right now. Like,
So the actual ending of the game.
all right.
Alika dies, sacrificing herself. You revive her because you think it's a love story and you can't live without her. The DLC
No.
revives it as it's not a love story. It's actually he needed her to come back to life to defeat the villain.
That's awful.
So the DLC pokes a hole in the plot that they established.
See, I don't like that about DLC. I think DLC needs to expand on the existing plot while not ruining it. Like
No,
that,
I
that
100%
makes sense to
agree.
me as
Yeah,
DLC.
Of course.
Yeah.
Or you can be Final Fantasy 15 and just release more chapters of your game that already.
That were already in the freaking game to begin with, but they just pulled out.
Or you can be Destiny and just take out half your game and put it out as an expansion.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to pay like $10 to get the guns in the game.
That's what they should start doing in Destiny. Destiny should be just broken down to, would you like the story? That would be $10. Would you like a gun? That would be another $5.
Yep.
Would you like more classes? That'll be $5 more. Just do it. Just do what you're basically trying to do, Destiny.
Yeah, man. Like, shit or get off the pot. Like, that's my advice. Like, just go for it. And then it'll be one of those things like, anybody remember Bungie? Yeah, I remember them. Whatever happened? They made Halo, didn't they? Whatever happened to Bungie?
Yeah.
That'll be the discussion of Bungie.
Number 6, Dishonored, a prequel and a sequel. Although they moved away from Corvo's espionage adventure in the first Dishonored, the 2 substantial expansion packs released for the title, The Knife of Dunwall, yes, and the Brigmore Witches were pretty essential in getting the full picture of the main narrative. I actually didn't play these, but I heard they were really good.
Yeah, I didn't like
They were
it.
really
Moving
good.
away from his story and instead casting the players as Dawad, the assassin who killed the Empress at the beginning of the main game, it sets the entire plot in motion. The 2 expansions act as both a prequel and a sequel, intertwining and diverging off of the original narrative, covering the assassin's life leading up to the assassination and his subsequent attempts at redemption. At multiple points in the expansion, you actually converge with major beats of the original title, offering new major plot points from an entirely new perspective that alters their meaning. Huh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I never played Dishonored. I didn't think.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I think you would like it.
Oh, you
No, I
would.
was like, man, those games aren't very good. I'm not going to play it if it was not very good.
Those games got humongously rated.
Well, it's...
Because, critic scores, Metacritic, and user scores mean nothing.
Well, they-
well,
I mean, they do matter sometimes, except when it comes to Destiny. But
No, Destiny is not getting good scores.
I know. This is what I'm covering
Destiny
next
is
time.
getting great scores. I don't know.
Yeah, you're about to
scores.
see
I
how
don't
great
think
of a
Rob
score.
actually checks how well a game was received
Well, he's
before
about-
deciding if it's good or bad.
I mean, I saw the trailer for Dishonored. I didn't think it looked very interesting.
I
so
will
just
give you
didn't-
that. The trailers for Dishonored
It doesn't
did not
give it
do
justice. No, it doesn't.
really?
No, it made it look like a dark and moody, weird
Yeah.
game. It's a first-person shooter narrative set in a steampunk kind of world. but you get like powers like teleporting and assassination. So
You can go about the game just however you want. If
picture
you
like
wanna
a first-person version of Assassin's Creed, but with a narrative like Call of Duty, where you have straightforward levels for the most part. There is an open world area, but for the most part, it's like here, go kill this guy, and then your options are go in the front door, killing everyone, go through the window, sneaking through, go and mess around with.
No, I'm not gonna play that. That doesn't sound very interesting. It doesn't sound very
Fair
good.
enough.
Super cheap now too.
Yeah, it's like Bioshock 1. Like you keep talking about how good Bioshock 1 is. It must not be that good because I didn't play it. So I'm just throwing
We're fixing that, by the way. He's going to do an hour-long stint of playing. It's into the first hour.
You said it was my Christmas present. You have to do it now. Everyone heard it.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
Everybody heard you make the claim that everybody heard it. And that I said it.
So anyway, number 5, Dragon Age 2 introduces Inquisition's villain. What? Although Dragon Age 2 was a disappointing sequel to an amazing original game, the DLC did a pretty good job of furthering the base narrative to create something more in line with the rich and detailed stories that the fans have come to expect. However, one piece of DLC was made specifically to bridge the gap between this sequel and the next, introducing Corpheus, the main villain.
Corpheus.
Corpheus.
He's like Morpheus's cousin. Yeah, that's exactly what he
That's
is.
exactly it. Yes.
Do you want the red pill, the green pill, or the dragon pill?
Yeah, Morpheus took the Dragon Age pill and became Corpheus. Why would they pick that name?
So basically, the DLC introduces who the villain is, and if you don't do it, you have no idea who you're fighting against in the main game. Mm-hmm. That's kind of dumb. That feels like it should have been in the main game.
Let me ask you guys this though: is Dragon Age good?
No.
Dragon Age 2.
Natalie's immediate reaction.
Dragon Age
no.
2, I hate it. I couldn't even get past
Dragon
the
Age
first hour.
1 is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's well
Yes.
revered. When I played Dragon Age 2, my opinion was they tried to take the MMO formula
Yes.
that everyone
It
loved.
was WoW,
But make it into
essentially.
a single player game,
Yes.
which doesn't work. WoW works because you're playing with multiple people and it's
Yes.
an MMO. If you make it a single player game, then the whole time I just go, why am I not playing the MMO? You know, like, what's the point? I was not a fan of it, but a lot of people did enjoy it. So,
I would give Dragon Age 1 a shot for sure.
yeah,
but
1's
2,
really good.
I mean, how does it relate to like Skyrim?
Different style
Yeah,
games.
it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally
if you're looking for that open world Skyrim thing, you pretty much have Bethesda titles. There's very
Isn't
few
it
things
like
like
on
that.
par with The Witcher, kind of?
Witcher, if you want Skyrim stuff, you're looking at Witcher, Kingdoms of Amalur. That's pretty much the same thing.
Kingdom of... Okay,
No, I
look,
thought-
you know what? I'm not playing a game with a weird name like that.
I thought Dragon Age
The
1.
Witcher we can go with.
Kingdoms of Amalur was actually created by a baseball player who quit the major leagues to go make a video game studio and then blew all of his money and had to shut down the studio after the first
my
game came out because he had no money.
Did you guys hear about the guy? This totally had nothing to do with video games. The guy that Crocodile Dundee was based off of.
No.
So the guy that the Crocodile Dundee was based off of, he filed a lawsuit against Paul Hogan, lost, and then like ended up throwing all his money into something totally. No, he spent his money on growing weed and selling weed, and then ended up addicted to drugs, and then died in a shootout, in like a drug-fueled shootout with the cops.
Jesus.
Yeah, this guy had a
That's an
miserable
interesting story, but
Yes.
100% not.
Yeah.
I told you it had nothing to do with video games.
No, but I thought that, you know, if you were trying to compare Dragon Age, The Witcher would be a good comparison,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I mean,
then
The
it's just
Witcher-
like not paying attention.
The Witcher 3 looked cool, but it looked so just. It was the problem that I had is that it just took so long to get to the point. Like I didn't even finish it. I got to the point
But
where
it's
it's
the
like
whole point of it,
his
Rob.
little girl dies or something like that, and then I was like, okay, like this is boring to me. Like whatever, you know. And then I turned it off. I was like, this is just too much damn talking.
Number 4, Bioshock Incident. It's the most
Incident? Oh, I was about to say.
Bioshock Infinite.
No.
Bioshock
The
Incident,
incident-
yes!
The
Yes!
incident in
No,
Bioshock Infinite.
No, this is going to stay like this. Bioshock Incident. I like it. I like it. I like it.
The most glaring plot.
Yes.
One of the most criticized parts of Bioshock Incident was that the game's main primary woman of color, Daisy Fitzroy, the leader of a rebel uprising, attempted to overthrow the oppressive regime of Columbia. She was made out to be an evil She was made out to be just as evil as the racist dictator Comstock.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty cool plot point.
One of the head-scratching moments, though, that appears to only be there to further Elizabeth's character arc rather than make sense in the logic of the game, is that Daisy takes a child prisoner and threatens to kill them. Sneaking up behind her, Elizabeth kills the leader of the Vox Popula with a pair of scissors and is irrevocably changed by her violent actions. The Burial at Sea DLC attempts to explain the logic of this out-of-character moment. Being visited by the time-traveling Ludus twins, Daisy agrees to pretend to do something sinister in order to provoke Elizabeth into realizing that sometimes murder is necessary.
And there we
So
go.
the child himself is never actually in danger, and the character's 180% personality turn is just a ploy to get Elizabeth to kill for the first time and realize that sometimes extreme situations
Necessary.
require
Yes.
extreme actions.
Moving on, this was a bad game.
Wow. No, it's not a bad game. It was the best game. It was the best of the BioShock games. What are you talking about?
Moving on.
So I have to agree with you.
Oh, we
that
had,
BioShock 1 was great.
we had a
But you don't
15
have to
minutes
agree with
discussion
me
about
that
this.
BioShock Infinite was. BioShock
Well,
Infinite
how
was
about
the
you
best
play the
of BioShock.
first one and second one first?
I don't need to because those games.
And moving on, I've made my point. I have made my point.
We've had this argument like every time this game comes up.
I'm just
Why do
saying.
you keep putting it on the list?
Because it's a legit. I mean, you know, I agree with this
Number
choice.
No,
four
that's
is
why.
something we will not mention.
Yeah, that is a game people hate who don't like change. That's all that is. That's all that is.
I figured I had a minute. Number 3, Castlevania Lord of the Shadow. Why Gabriel is suddenly a vampire. In Castlevania Lords of the Shadow, one of my favorite Castlevanias outside of Symphony of the Night, one of the most jarring endings ever is in the... It has one of the most jarring endings ever. After defeating the title's main protagonist, the game suddenly jumps forward in time, introducing new characters before revealing that somehow you're now a vampire.
I thought you might enjoy that because you love Castlevania.
I did.
So.
It all comes out of left field, and rightfully, the fans are left scratching their heads, wondering why the hell what you're supposed to do with this information. Your main character's now one of the Belmonts is now a vampire.
Yeah, you do what vampire like you turn other people into vampires. That's what I would do if I were a vampire. Like I'd terrify people. Like I would just like sit in dark alleys, and when someone turns a corner, I'd be like, ah, you know, and have like this.
That's your vampire face.
That's what I would do. That's what, dude. I would do that, and it would be so hilarious because people would be like, oh. And I would be like, yes. I scared
It would
you.
just disappear.
So anyway,
back into the
obviously they
just
knew
take
that
off.
this ending would get people talking, so they came out with a DLC allowing you to get answers. The expansion, in fact, did fill the gaps, and it explains that between taking down the bad guy and becoming a vampire, Gabriel went on an entirely new quest to destroy an age-old evil that he indirectly woke up in his adventures in the main game. In the final quest, it resulted with the character's vampiric transformation, something that you have no idea about without the DLC.
I mean, that's cool. I guess.
It was cool. You should play that game.
I remember
I've
playing
actually
with
I have
you.
not played Castlevania since Nintendo.
Oh, this is like a third-person version. They tried to make it like
Yes.
Don't Make Cry and stuff.
We played it.
It was
together.
really good. It was actually a really
cool,
enjoyable
yeah.
game. Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of those things though where it was like the polarizing change in a game. Like you went from like the side-scrolling Nintendo Symphony of the Night stuff to 3D world, and it just not everyone liked it.
It's different from what I'm used to.
Well, this was like a hardcore different. This was like Sonic going from Sonic that works to Sonic that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, I personally didn't really have a shift. I didn't have a problem with the shift to Sonic 3D. It's just the mechanics were so wonky.
That's the problem.
They didn't
Sonic
take time
Adventure
to
was spot
fix it.
on, and then
Yeah.
they kept trying to come up with gimmicks like he's a werewolf.
Yeah, it was-
Here's his evil brother with guns, cause guns are cool.
Yeah, Sonic with guns just and like racing along the whole time.
Show me your Uzi noises again.
No, I'm just saying. You know, he's like.
That was pretty adorable. Yeah.
Number 2, Mass Effect 3. The Promethean race
Yes.
isn't extinct at all.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not even going to read this because I know what this was. If
Yeah.
you pre-ordered the game,
Yep.
you would get a DLC which allowed you to get a Promethean member on your team as you discover that they were actually just hibernating
Yep.
and not dead.
Yeah.
One of the most mysterious beings in the entirety of the game with lore that we never truly found out. Oh, by the way, they're alive.
Yeah, that was one.
And
of
it was
the,
a pre-order bonus.
That was one of the more interesting arguments that I remember people having. They were
That
irritated
one's
about
valid
stuff.
though, because that is a huge game changer to the story.
Oh, I agree.
And you had to pre-order it to get it, or
yeah.
pay full.
No,
I think it was $10 later on.
I understand entirely. That would be like in Gears of War, where it's like Marcus Phoenix's dad was the one that had something to do with the Locust Horde, and they never tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Like they never explain it or anything. Like I understand the idea of just kind of teasing it, never dropping
Or
it.
Destiny taking out an entire portion of the raid and putting it into a DLC.
Yeah. Something
Mass
like
Effect
that.
3's DLC, the best DLC is still to this day the whole like partying with the crew.
Okay.
It was pointless, but it was so good though.
No, it was 100%. I
I
loved
don't
it.
think
Yes.
I ever played that DLC.
So Mass Effect 3 didn't have a true ending. Like if you get to the ending, Shepard, if you haven't played it at this point, you're dumb.
Whoa, man.
Well, come on! It was in the headlines. The ending.
Yeah, I know you got
No,
to.
but
It was basically
still.
kind of one of those pick your own ending sort of thing.
No, that was the problem with Mass Effect 3. The choices you made the entire game did not matter, and in the ending, you
Oh.
changed the color. That's all it was. What
Yeah,
color you
it
picked.
was really stupid. Yes.
That was the original ending. So you had 3 games of making choices, altering the entire game, and the ending was always the same, except it would be green, blue, or red. And you died, and that was the end of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they came out with the DLC much later, where like
It was a prequel. I mean, it was a.
it's supposed to take place
in between. Yes.
It was supposed to take place before,
Right
the final
before
mission.
yeah.
And what it was before you go off in this final mission, the DLC was literally you're having a party. And everyone you've ever met comes to the party, and you
Yes.
get to interact with them all for like a
Yes.
final goodbye.
Yeah.
And all
you
your
get to hang out with you
and all
crew,
your choices matter
essentially.
and make
Yeah.
sense. And what happens is like the big thing in the middle of it, where like one of the gangs attacks you, and you got to run across the town and
Yes.
everything like that. But it was just for people who wanted that final closure with
Yes.
the crew, they gave it to you.
Yes. Because I feel like it was so
This is a part of
abrupt.
my life.
Well,
I
man,
need to say goodbye to this part of my life.
what's your favorite TV show ever?
I've seen a lot of shows.
What do you think about Breaking Bad?
Yeah, Breaking Bad was pretty good.
What if the last 4 episodes didn't exist?
You felt like you had no closure.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd make up my own ending, and I'd still be.
But no, but what
I'd
I'm
be
saying
that's
is
kinda
like,
cool.
imagine the last 4 they just didn't exist at all.
I mean, I would
you
just- I
spend
would
all that
assume-
time watching it because that's what Mass Effect was at that point. There's people because of the multiplayer stuff. We're talking like 200, 300 plus hours.
Yes.
By the time you get to 3,
Why?
By the time you get to 3.
What- It was
Yeah,
a
that's
good.
true.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Good game.
I'm talking how long you played Destiny, how long you played Skyrim. You've talked about it.
Yeah.
Now
I
do
have
that
played
into
Skyrim a
a
lot.
trilogy.
Yeah. This
I'm
is
not
like
talking-
you've
that's
invested.
still weird to me, though.
I'm not talking like you sat down for a week and did it. You didn't play all that
You've
Skyrim time you
invested
talk
all that
about in
time.
one
Sam
sitting.
Shepard.
Within
Sam
3
Shepard's like my
games.
brother. Sam Shepard's like my brother. That's not his name's not Sam Shepard. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. What's his name?
No, it's not.
What's his? No, Sam Shepard's the actor. He was the actor from Black Hawk Down. What's Commander Shepard? Yeah, Commander Shepard's like my brother. He's like my brother. He's like a friend. We've known each other for years. You know, I mean, that's.
You're
that's
talking
weird.
about people who literally invested their time throughout 3 games.
And
How can they not get
that's
attached
exactly
to the
it.
character?
It's a game. It's a video game.
Right, but we're talking. Like I said, it's like a TV show. Breaking Bad was on for like what 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Every night you watched it for 5 or 6 years.
I would have just assumed that Jesse Pinkman never got away from the bounty hunters and he was just making meth. for
But
them
you would
forever.
assume.
That
but
would
you
have
still,
been. That's
you
how I
still
would've
would not
assumed.
have closure though. You'd be left guessing, and it would be a lot of fan debates and stuff like that.
Yeah, but okay, but those debates make it kind of fun though. Even then.
Well, I mean, and even with Mass Effect, everyone loved to have debates, but they still gave a definitive, here's what happened, or at least a final goodbye kind of a thing.
Yes.
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
But anyway, number 1, Asura's Wrath. Another Capcom bullshit moment.
Yeah, seriously.
So this game, no, here's
Just the anger in your voice.
no.
Capcom bullshit.
I was
moment.
in Afghanistan when this game came out.
Yes.
The ending is not in the game; it's a DLC.
Really?
I'm not even like we're not even talking loose ends that need to be resolved. The ending, if I remember correctly, is you go down and you pummel this big bad boss guy, but you discover that there's actually bigger, badder boss guys orchestrating everything. And we're not talking sequel level setting up. We're talking the truth actually, Asura, is that you need to defeat me, and I'm the one that orchestrated everything. And the end. And if you download the DLC, it's 1 chapter. It's the ending.
Wow. Yeah. See to me that's not okay because the problem is like when people go through and they play games, they get attached to them. And
Yes,
like you
you
have to
just
give
said-
them.
you
have,
just
you
said
just
that.
didn't know. Oh my!
you
Oh my
have to
God.
give. You have to
All
give
right,
people.
one
that's it.
episode, you double
Jesus
back on
Christ.
yourself.
You
He
have
is
to give
literally
people-
just
no,
trolling.
that's-
You're
it's-
trolling
Even
now.
Gary's
You're trolling.
laughing at you.
You're trolling. That's what you're
Rob,
doing right now,
I'm
Rob.
gonna go because you've done this 2 days in a row now, Rob. You're not on point anymore. Your trolling isn't working
Oh,
anymore
it was funny though.
because you're calling yourself out.
It's fun. It's funny to me. It's funny to me. No,
That's what
like for
matters.
real, for true. That does make sense because people do get attached to games and people do want legitimate endings.
Yes,
Like and they don't
or
want
at
to
least
pay for it.
closure in the sense of I know what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it's fun to assume what happened to Jesse Pinkman, but don't you feel better knowing this is what happened to Jesse Pinkman? That's the end of
it's
the
like,
story.
It's like montages, you know? Like, I watched the Karate Kid movie with Will Smith's son and Jackie Chan, even though it wasn't very good. I watched that because I wanted to see the fights.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like having the movie and then just leaving all the fight scenes out. You know, and they're just not in there.
So here it is,
Anyone?
because they wrote it out here a little bit better. The game ends with you beating the final boss, but throughout the entire game, there's this spider pulling the threads of fate kind of a thing. You discover after beating the final boss that you've saved nothing. Your daughter is still doomed, and like literally, they tell you you have stopped nothing.
Yeah.
And this is not setting up a sequel. It's literally they just forgot to put the last chapter in, and they say the real boss who's orchestrated everything and will free all of you from what has happened is over here. Buy it for $4.99.
Wow.
They did the same crap in Dead Rising recently.
Yes.
Really?
Dead Rising ended with Frank West getting bit by a zombie, and you're like, that's the end of the game. And they're
You're
like,
talking about Dead Rising 3?
yeah, 4.
Four.
The new one with Frank
Yeah, I
West.
haven't played the newest
Yeah.
one.
The ending ends with Frank West getting bitten by zombies, and I looked it up online because normally there's like the good ending, the bad ending, and I'm like, did I get the bad ending? And no, there's one ending. There's no good, bad, or whatever. You download a DLC.
They pulled the same shit.
Yeah, for $4.99 to find out what
Capcom.
happened to Frank West. I never downloaded it. I was like,
Capcom,
you know
man.
what? For me,
Yeah.
in the story, Frank died. That's
Yeah.
we're done.
I will watch it on YouTube. Like, there we go. Now I know
We're
what the
done.
ending
Frank
is.
died.
Freaking Capcom, man.
But I remember the annoying part about this was the game didn't end, and I had no access to download DLC in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So I had to wait almost a year to come back home, and it was one of the few games that when I was unpacking all my stuff
Could
from
have asked
Afghanistan.
me.
You didn't play Asura's Wrath?
No, I did.
Did
because,
you?
Yeah, because you talked to me about it, and
It was incredible.
I didn't finish it, but I did go through.
It's actually an early kind of what you liked. So before like Uncharted and Last of Us and like movie games
it
were a
was-
thing, it was a movie game.
I think isn't
So
that what-
imagine Dragon
It was
Ball.
one of the first like very few quick time events.
No, not one of the first ones, but it did do a good job with it. But imagine like Dragon Ball, but you have the full Dragon Ball story. But every time they'd get into a fight, you took over.
Yeah,
That's Asura's Wrath.
That would
So-
be cool.
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of cutscenes, really cool cutscenes.
Yeah,
where you just
yeah. It
press
had quick time
buttons.
events,
Yeah.
mash the button, go crazy
Yeah.
on people.
Yeah, I would just button mash. That's all. That's what I used to do in Dragon Ball.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's what it literally was, and it was like I actually think it's based on the same concept as Dragon Ball, the Journey to the West.
Oh, yeah.
Because you even
Yeah.
power up as you're going. Because you're like this half cyborg, half weird guy. Like you grow
Yeah.
6 arms at one point.
Yeah.
Like your ultimate form is he grows 6 arms and he pummels everything.
See, now I want to go watch Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Z is still the best.
It is still the best.
We ain't talking about that GT shit.
No, man.
Super's okay.
What's
but
what's GT? I've never heard of Dragon Ball GT.
that's not a thing, right? No, it went Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super, and Super's okay, but
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Z is
it's-
still better.
Yeah, it's no Dragon Ball Z, man.
No, it's no Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z. Yeah.
That's what I think about when I think of Bioshock. I like to think that Infinite just never existed.
Touche.
And on that note, with them finally agreeing on at least one thing with Bioshock,
Bioshock Infinite was better.
we're going to close out this episode of Listcussions. This is our longest one.
This
Yes.
is the longest.
Why did
Yes,
you get
it
a
is.
10-topic one?
Because it was 10.
Yes!
Oh, my bad. The next ones are like 6 or 7. Don't worry about that.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to
Sorry.
get yourself a Listcussion every Monday and Friday now that we're back on our proper schedule because we had to take some time off for the holidays.
Yes.
You can also get other content because more stuff is coming out on this channel now that we're back from the holidays. And thank you for joining us. You can find him on Twitter at Comics Explained. I'm at Comic Story and she's at Zacco Candy. Together you can follow Eligible Monsters to see all of our Twitch streams and you can see when the videos go live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, I guess.